Hello, everyone. I think we should be in. Let's let's double check. Great. Awesome. I can see you. But you can't see my slides. Oh well. Um Today we're going to very quickly uh talk about decolonization. And why that's important within LARP. Warning, this is not going to be as short as you think, and it's not going to be easy to hear, but I think that we can do it together. So, something I first want to acknowledge is that I am currently speaking to you from the land of the Osage people, the indigenous people of where I currently live, and you may also be on indigenous land, such as the Sami people. So we want to recognize those who came before us and the lands that we are on, especially when we talk about decolonization. So, first of all, what is decolonization? Decolonization is the very real act where a nation undoes the act of controlling the land and returns self determination to a territory that is not its own. That is where decolonization comes from. Uh, it is not necessarily a metaphor, but we use it a lot because colonization also lives within us. The idea of decolonization from a colonizer's intellectual ideas of what self may be is the realm that we are going to talk in today. Decolonization of the self is not pleasant. It's not easy. It's not comfortable. Yes, it encourages transformation, but it also implicates all of us. That can be something that is really, really hard to deal with. So, why is decolonization important to LARP at all? Well, LARP is an embodied and co created medium. We create stories and we live in them for hours or days or weeks or years. And that type of embodiment does leave and it does leave something behind. When we play in and tell stories in this way, we have the power to not only envision better selves and worlds, we also have the power to reinforce mythical normalities that oppress others in very, very real terms. Um, the future of LARP is not held by any one region or culture, but by those who strive to play and imagine despite desperate times. It's our duty as playmakers and co creators to radically change the colonialist idea that play is only reserved for a select elite few. And from the mythical norm, even if it means being really uncomfortable and inconvenienced. So, who needs to decolonize themselves? Everybody. You, me, everybody. Marginalized identities does not excuse you from the act of decolonization. Radical work does not excuse you. You can be a victim of colonization and be from multiple marginalities, and you're still not excused. You can acknowledge decolonization, but it still does not excuse you from the implications. We all have a hand in kind of upholding this. This does not make you the ultimate victim. This does not make you innocent. It makes you a part of a collective that needs to consistently do the hard work on themselves and within the communities that they inhabit. So, how does LARP even engage in colonial processes, right? You may think, oh, that's not us. We do our best here. Well, that's not enough. So, LARP currently centers European and Western stories as inherently being more worthy of being told. It centers European and Western scholarship as being inherently more worthy. It centers European and Western creators as central and inherently more worthy of consideration. It enforces Western ideals of conflict resolution, imagined fantasies, and future perspectives. And it allows Hollywood portrayals to dictate how we view events, cultures, and histories at the cost of original storytellers and people who are impacted by the themes. That means that you can fully be someone from Sweden using a Hollywood perspective, which is colonializing your own experience in your own history, which is really difficult to think about and to realize, but it happens. We also allow the word Nordic to kind of be synonymous with cultured and elite rather than any of its original meanings. And that harms those in that community, but also those who are thinking outside of that community. So, what are examples of decolonization in LARP? Well, one of the best examples, I believe, is the Palestinian LARP organization, Bet Bait, which works within its own community to investigate their history, as well as using LARP as a tool for organization and self-determination. Their work with combined European partners speaks to how LARP can be used as a tool to decolonize our ideas about occupation and intercultural exchange. You have scholars who work in this realm. Kat Jones, Mo Hawker, Eleanor Saita, Anna Erlandson, Gabriel de Los Angeles, Avery Alder, Jaco Sinros, James Mendez-Hose. These are all names of people who actively work in different subsets to get us to think beyond what we know about LARP culture and LARP practices in relation to a more normative LARP aesthetic. You have games like Just a Little Loving. Just a Little Loving is a seminal work of Nordic LARP, but it changes content over time. It has changed content. It has changed practice over time to allow the voices of those who are directly impacted by its themes to actively work on educating and experiencing through play. You have designers, Julia Ellingbo, Jessica Hammer, Misha Bushjager, Fatima Abdul Karim, Banana Chan, Stan Stanley, Cleoyus Davis, Sharon Biswas, Kat Jones, Cole Ford. They all work in the realm of either contributing to communities that deserve to see themselves represented, or actively work to create in the realm of understanding cultural meaning for specific populations. There are LARPs. LARPs from Avalon Studios have recently investigated late-stage capitalism in layered and really messy ways, which implicate not just the system, but the players as character. So that's really difficult work. And then you have people who mess up and then try and understand what went wrong. So we had the Sahara Expedition LARP, which faced criticism, but then turned around and reached out to various members of the community that it affected in the hopes of learning and talking openly on how to create best practices. Those are excellent ways and thoughts around decolonization. So how can we begin this work? Well, we can leave Hollywood behind. We can tell stories that don't center on the United States idea of what a story should be like, right? We shouldn't center Hollywood. We shouldn't center our innate westernized themes. We can recognize the power structures that are inherently present in our discourse and elevate voices who can provide critical reframing. We can include those of marginalized identities at the beginning of a project rather at the end after we've already faced criticism. We can realize that embodied play can enforce stereotypes, internalized isms, and perpetuate erasure. We can recognize that brave spaces and play cannot be had until we understand that safety is not one size fits all, and bravery can only be had in a space where critical understanding can take place. We can recognize that play is vitally important. Play is so important, and we should strive to include those in our play who we often leave out. And we can recognize, and this is the nugget here. We can recognize that while our search for personal transformation is important, we must not lose sight of community transformation. Our personal emancipation should not contribute to the oppression of others. We can also realize, and this is like really painful, so strap in. We can realize that what we may feel is personal oppression may in fact just be the recognition that we are not the center. We are not the victim. We are implicit. Here are some helpful things we can do to decolonize LARP starting today. We can recognize the process of decolonization is necessary, that it is messy, that it will implicate you despite your beliefs, despite your marginalization and your best efforts. You are going to fail. People will talk about you. It will hurt. That is okay. We need to figure out how to grow from that, okay? We should strive to center voices and stories from your own community that are not given space and room. Who are you leaving out? Who in your specific community needs to be elevated, needs to be talked about, needs to be shared? Who and what are their stories? What is their needs? We need to start centering these people. We also need to understand that international LARP cannot be truly international if it excludes Eastern European creators, racified and POC creators, and those from the global South. We have to support and seek out those from those cultures. Who are we missing in our dialogue? Who are we missing when we talk about important movements within our personal medium? We need to actively investigate how we play and interact with each other beyond what we currently know. We need their voices. We need these thoughts, and they're not going to be pleasant, and they may make us look bad. And that's okay, because as we say like 18 billion times, it's messy. We also really need to actively work to create content that goes beyond the mentality that playing to lose, exploring oppression, and painful themes are inherently more artistic than those that create joy, explore positive futures, and encourage frivolity without judgment. This is not easy. This will not be pleasant. This work implicates me. It implicates you. But we can do this. As a medium, as a culture, as a group, we need to understand how to burn down what we think we know to let ourselves build something new and important together. We're going to get angry at each other. We're going to fight, but we're going to do our best. Let's try and remember that play is important, especially in dire times. Thank you so much, and I wish desperately that I could be with you all.